Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And very happy to be here. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. Inside of their double-decker cafe on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners drive-through location in North Syracuse. You know that putting a spotlight on the Southern Tier is very, very important to me. The last time this gentleman was on the show with me, there was hardware being shared and a lot of great things happening. I had the extreme pleasure of being with Matt Gallagher and his team all the way through. We had a conversation in the beginning, and then obviously sectionals and states and whatnot. Maine-Endwell, a fantastic program, and Matt Gallagher, a fantastic leader of men, not just a head coach. So the Southern Tier means a lot to me. Maine-Endwell means a lot to me. And to, I guess you'd call my adopted grandfather, a lot to Grandpa Bill up in heaven. So with that being said, I am very happy to welcome somebody who has a nice round shaped head so we can shave him low. And that is Matt Gallagher. Matt, how you doing today?
Very good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, my mom told me a long time ago, she said, thank God you got the head for it, or else you'd look weird. So, you know, we got some nice rounded, nice sculpted
Yeah,
heads that we can shave them. So
yeah. Nature was taking its course, so I thought I'd speed it up a little bit and help it out.
yeah, see, my thing is people say to me, they're like, when did you start going bald? And I don't. My hair grows very quickly and it's all over. But every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I like to shave it down. I feel like I'm more aerodynamic, and I'm not gonna lie about it. I'm not dating right now, but when I am dating, women usually like to play with like how it feels in the back, and it always makes me fall asleep. So you got to
Oh,
keep it
wow.
short just in case you meet the right girl.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
Matt Gallagher here with me on the broadcast, Maine-Endwell head football coach. So, you know, obviously the last time we spoke, a lot of great things happening, and we turn the page to this season. How quickly do you turn that page? Do you give yourself a day to enjoy it? Do you give yourself a couple weeks? Do you let yourself have some time before practice starts again to do it? Or do you turn that page really quick when you see that state title and then moving forward to here?
Well, we have to enjoy it. You have to celebrate the things that the kids accomplish, and we try to do that as a whole group. Not only just our team, but the school and the whole community. We usually have. We're fortunate to have the whole community rally around us and kind of escort us back into town.
Yeah.
After the game. So that part is awesome. The kids love that. And then even the next week in school, they usually have a little something for us, a parade, or the kids going down to the elementary buildings and walking through there, so the kids can see them too. So, we have to appreciate that and understand what it is that exactly what was accomplished, and we don't want to make it seem like it's something that's not big, because I think the kids need to appreciate how big it actually is. But then, once that's over and done with, we usually give them about a week off, and then we're right back in the weight room about a week later
Yeah,
when it
and
comes to that.
like you said, you have the celebration, you have them escort you back in, go to the elementary schools and whatnot, and then you said we're back in the weight room. So it sounds like you have ample time and a lot of things that you get to do to celebrate. But is it just, I mean, second nature for you at this point that once you do that, that a week later you say, okay, listen, it's we got to get back in the weight room and keep working on it, because human beings are habitual, right? So we form either good habits or bad habits. And so I could definitely understand and respect it. I think they said it takes 21 days, 3 weeks. So, however you want to look at it, 3 weeks or AKA 21 days to create a good or a bad habit. So once you have that week to do it, do you feel like it's therapeutic or second nature to get right back in the weight room again?
Well, first of all, the kids are chop at the bit, they're the ones like, coach, let's get back in there. And, but, we've been fortunate, you know, uh, to go into December, a few times and, and then get right back after it. Like I said, a week later, but even on the years that we didn't get to our main goal, we still gave them the week off and then we got right back after it. So, the whether we look at it this way, whether we, accomplish that goal or not, we want to make sure that we are somewhat of a routine, um, giving them the time to kind of recoup a little bit, think about the goods and the bads, and then get right back after it, as a group too, not just individually, but as a group, which is, I think, most important.
Having the longevity in a season to feel what you got to feel last season, and again, Maine-Endwell and you, no strangers to success. But after everything that we have been through, to have that run in 2021 and play so deep into the year and hoist a state title, to reflect back on how crazy these last couple of years have been, did that one have an extra element to it, a different feel to it, because you've seen these kids have something taken away from them?
Um, I think maybe a little bit. I guess you could say yes, because you might, it'd be kind of hard not to.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, I also just think that uh, anytime that you get a chance to reach your ultimate goal, no matter what you're doing, I think you're going to try to you're going to get a feeling of accomplishment, and you should be proud of what you're doing. I think the kids were, but then they understood what not just that they went through, but everybody else in our area and even across, obviously, the country and the world for that matter, right? So they understand what everybody went through, and then and I think it's a tribute to them and to our community that they kept our kids engaged. And I think I might have mentioned this before, that our school did a great job of keeping our kids engaged the entire time, whether it was academically or athletically. And then, they were able to accomplish the goals that they set even a year before that. So, that's just hats off to our community, our school, and everybody that's part of it, because our kids were engaged. They weren't just sitting at home. They were, with their teachers, with their coaches, and trying to do the best they could to, in such an awful situation.
What did that time teach you about yourself, and maybe something that you didn't know you appreciated or you didn't appreciate, or so? I mean, we all had time to look in the mirror over the last couple of years. What did you see when you looked in the mirror?
Well, like, probably just like everybody, right? You can't take anything for granted. You got to appreciate what you have, because it can be taken away quickly.
Mhm.
And then what you do have and what you can do, make sure you do it with all your heart, with passion, and then just go out and live it. And I think that's what we hopefully people have learned. And but the way that people rallied and came together, not just in our community but across our country, and it was a pretty special time. And I think people can look back on that and say, hey, we can battle through things if we kind of do it together.
Coming here from Matt Gallagher, the head football coach for Maine-Endwell here in the Southern Tier, and looking at this season and where we are so far at the time of our conversation. Your team is 4-0, and you have played half of those games in league and half of those games out of league here. So looking at, Section 4, Class B right now for you as we go through this, Union Endicott, obviously MEUE, there's history to that. I mentioned my adopted grandpa Bill, who's up in heaven now, God bless him, and he was a big fan of MEUE, and so you got that victory 14-0. Norwich, who's moved up to you, 46-14, and then Shenango Forks, a non-league game there, 34-21, and most recently Windsor Central that you defeated 35-7. Of these four games, two in league and two non-league, What can you tell me you've learned about the team 4 games in at this point?
When we actually had a big conversation about this in practice today, or before practice, right before film, and then we went outside, but that we can be pretty good, really good at times, but we're a little inconsistent right now, which is something that I guess, that kind of goes with the territory, right? It's early in the season. But we do have a lot of returners, and they feel it too, and they don't necessarily like it when we're inconsistent, right? Because you'll see that we'll look great for a quarter, and then maybe not so good, and then we'll look great for another quarter, and then a couple plays won't go so well. But and that happens in football, but you can tell when it's just a football play that it goes wrong, or just the inconsistency of the team in some ways. And I think that we've seen that a little bit. Obviously, not to the point that has affected us as far as the win column, but we know that the most important thing for us is to get better every week. And we got to just try to stay away from those inconsistencies. And, as a coaching staff, we got to make sure that we address those in practice and make sure that, we limit those as we move forward.
What do you attribute to the inconsistencies when you're looking back at film and you're going through practice and whatnot? Can you pinpoint why you feel this team has not stayed as consistent as you want them to?
Well, I think number one, it's probably our high expectations for them. And if they're not, as we consider, dominant, then maybe they're not consistent. But so at the same time, we could be, really expecting things that are maybe at a standard that we shouldn't be, but then that wouldn't be driving these guys to their goals. So we want to make sure that that's not the case. Um, and they want it that way. They want to accept the challenges of getting better every day, every week. And if we kind of pinpoint, and when I say this, we nitpick as far as the little things and the details that we really focus in on, and that we want to make sure that are consistent. And the kids know that, right? They would probably be a little disappointed if we were not really getting down to the nitty gritty when it comes to nitpicking the details that we want to be consistent throughout.
And that's the thing. You talked about, well, maybe they're inconsistent because of our expectations of them. Maine-Endwell, I mean, this is not a typical program, right? There's expectations, and then there's your expectations that you have in a program that you have. When you build up a program like Maine-Endwell football to where it is, do you ever catch yourself saying, like, this might be where most teams want to get at, but we're always, here, we're always striving for that? I mean, when there are high expectations and there's a history, there's obviously something that comes with that, right? People look at and it doesn't matter what the season is, right? People look at the Cowboys every single year, and there's the expectation that they're supposed to be America's team. As long as Tom Brady plays, there's an expectation that he should be in the Super Bowl. There's an expectation that Aaron Rodgers shouldn't lose a playoff game. So when we look at these Maine-Endwell expectations, how do you manage them? And, just building a culture where I guess the question is, have you forgotten maybe what normal expectations are because of where you expect this program to be?
Well, to us, I guess these are the normal expectations to us, right?
Right.
Because it's kind of been that way, and that's the way we kind of started it, and hopefully built it to that point now. And our culture is that now. And it's not, and I strongly believe this, and I say it all the time, and it's not just the football program, it's Maine-Endwell in general.
Yeah.
The expectations at Maine-Endwell are very, very high in everything. And the football program is no different. And I tell people all the time that it's so hard to describe what Maine-Endwell is like unless you actually live it day in and day out. It's a way of life. I try to explain it to people, but they don't understand it until they're actually involved in it and they see it, and they're like, man, I know what you meant. And it's it's a beautiful thing. It's a great place to be. And then, I think I know the coaching staff and myself, we're pretty darn lucky to be a small part of the whole thing.
You say the coaching staff and you being a small part of the whole thing. You've always been humble in any conversation that we've had. From the outside looking in, a lot of people talk about who you are as a coach, I'm sure, right? And what you do and the success that you've had and the type of, just the way that you go about it and the fact that, this culture that has been developed with the football program. And like you said, with Maine-Endwell in general, obviously, Matt, you're a huge part of this. So, when you say the coaching staff is a small part and being as humble as you are, I mean, I would be very hard pressed to say that the world doesn't see it very differently and says, hey, without Coach Gallagher, we're not here. Without this staff, this isn't happening. So, we talk about expectations. What are your expectations of yourself? And how do you kind of maybe check yourself?
Well, number one is that, do I still love it? Because that would show through in a heartbeat if I didn't.
Yeah.
If I still bring passion and love of the game every day to practice, because you have to be on every day. You can't be off. You got to be on every day when it comes to teaching and coaching. And because somebody, whether it's a student or whether it's a player, somebody is going to pick something up from you that day that's going to go with them for a long, long time, right? So you want to make sure you're trying to be on every single day, and which I try to be. And once I feel like I'm not, that's when I would definitely probably say that it's time. But as of right now, I still love both teaching and coaching. The fact that I'm at the age that I could be done, that's always there. But as of right now, it's not gonna, that's not what's gonna happen. So we're just, I just want to make sure I check in at myself every time and just say, you still loving it, and are you still bringing it every day? And if I can honestly say yes, then I'm going to be here for a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You talk about the passion for it, and anybody that I talk to that I've been around that I respect that loves what they do, that's what I always hear, right? When I stop feeling that fire and that desire, that I'd have to step away. What gets you up in the morning and still feel that? I mean, can you identify what that feeling is, or where it comes from, that you just wake up every day and you're hungry and you love it and you've been successful but you want to do it again? Because some people want to get to the top of the mountain. You've been on the top of the mountain multiple times, and with all due respect, I feel like God's trying to build some new mountains so that you have something to climb. So bring me into the why are you a mountain climber still?
Well, well, first of all, I mean, as a competitor, winning never gets old, right? That's a definite.
Yeah.
And then also just the fact that, like I said, hopefully day in and day out, whether it's a student or it's a player, we're doing something for them in one way or another. Whether it's making them believe in themselves more so, whether it's them coming together and understanding that they're a bigger part. They're a part of something that's way bigger than themselves. That when they leave Maine-Endwell, they're going to have a great experience on the football field, and then just being part of the football program itself and all the things that we do, and then just having that great experience at Maine-Endwell, right? So, I think those are the things that get me up and make sure that I'm doing the right things every day, because I'm hoping that what I say, what I do is going to reach somebody along the way.
And that coming here from awesome words from Matt Gallagher, the head coach of Maine-Endwell's football program here in the Southern Tier. And those of you that know Wake Up Call and know what we do here inside the Cafe Kubal studios and beyond, the Southern Tier and Central and Upstate New York, the state of New York to me is very meaningful. The Southern Tier, extremely meaningful to me, and because of people like Matt, has become near and dear to my heart. Some of the other people in the Southern tier that I have to make mention of, it's interesting here that we're 4 games in at the time of our conversation, because you've played 2 of them, or gone up against 2 of them, I should say. Union Endicott, Tom Bellino, and then Shenango Forks with Dave Hogan, both of them joining me before you on today's broadcast. So what can you say about both of the coaches and the programs, and what it's like to share the Southern tier with them?
Well, I think we're pretty lucky, in the Southern tier in Section 4 because of the commitment of the football coaches in our area. We're Section 4 has got some good football, and I think that that's kind of and I'm proud of that, actually. Tommy and Dave do it well. Every time we play them, we know we're going to be in for a battle. Tom's done a great job of getting that team to where they are now. And they're super respected in the Class A, obviously in our section, but now even across the state too. So last year they got the better of us in a close game. And that was a big thing for us this year, being the first game of the year coming in after them beating us last year. I think that was a main focus of ours and our kids of making sure that we worked hard throughout the off season, knowing that we were going to play them first and have a tough game right off the bat. Hats off to Tom and his coaching staff, and of course the players at UE. That was a great first game. I thought it was great for Section 4 to kind of kick off the whole season with a game like that. That's for sure. So Tom has done a great job over there. And of course, Dave, Dave and I have a lot of connections. We go way back, and the more and more we get to know each other, the more and more we realize how many things that we have in common. We started the same year, and we have battled over the years. So, and I can't say enough about Dave and what he does over there, and that great coaching staff over at Forks. So, and the program, if you have a program like his, and we get a chance to battle them whenever we can, and then once in a while get on the better side of it. That's pretty special to us. So just like UE, we know that every time we play Forks, it's going to be a battle. A good, clean game, classy bunch of kids over there, and we're both better for it every time we play.
You mentioned that last year, Tom Bellino had in Union Endicott got the best of Maine-Endwell. It was the only loss that you had in a state championship year. The only loss on the entire schedule, 8-0. This year, you start off with them and you get the victory 14-0. These games are not high scoring games. They're gutted out games. And I can imagine a very frustrating kind of bite your lip type of games. So knowing that last year, that was the only loss for your team at Maine-Endwell, and then to see them first on the schedule this year, just how I know you got to play every game in front of you, but if there was a feeling for the returning student athletes, like, hey, yeah, we won a state championship, but that loss was the only loss that we endured last year. So we got to make sure we take care of business. So did you get a sense for that and feel that in the locker room? And then secondly, why are these recent UE games so low scoring, just really grind it out and just hope to God somebody finds the end zone?
Well, I think anytime that someone beats you the year before, as much as you want to say it, that's not going to be there, but it's definitely going to be circled. You know what I mean? That's you're going to have a focus to it. Actually, the year before that, in our spring season, Forks was our only loss, and then we played them the first game of the season in 2021. So it was kind of like parallel years, but one was with Forks and then one was with UE, and that kind of gave us a little bit of focus going into last year, was the fact that we were playing Forks first, and then the same similar situation this year coming in and having to play UE, the only teams that had beaten us the year before. So It does give you maybe a little extra something if you need it for the off season, right? For the off season to get better, to work hard, to get better as a team, to build that chemistry. Because like you said, in those hard fought 1 or 2 touchdown games, you're going to need everybody to be tight and to make sure that you're all on the same road, you're looking for the same mission and trying to get the job done the right way. So it kind of worked out for us this year, but I know next time we play them, same thing's going to happen.
Matt Gallagher, the head coach of Maine-Endwell, here with me, head football coach there for the team, varsity team here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Before I let you go, a couple final pieces here, Matt. One of them being that you have a game on my birthday. So you have a league game against Johnson City on the road on Friday, October 21st. I must ask you, is there something that you can think of on my birthday that if you get into the end zone, maybe a little celebration or something that can be done on Friday, October 21st?
Well, we try not to super celebrate when we get in the end zone, but we'll try to do something for you. Maybe we'll do a little rubbing of the head just so we kind of you'll know we're thinking of you if we do something along those lines.
Yeah, there's got to be, if I know that's a tribute to you and I. So
yes,
yeah, I like that. That's a good one. I like that. I like the kind of rubbing the genie, so to speak.
That's right, exactly.
So I could definitely appreciate that. For you, Matt, as we've talked about a lot of different things here this season, the next game that we have up at the time that we're talking is going to be a game that you have inside of your league, and that is this Friday, October 7th at 7 p.m., another away game, and this being against Owego. So when we look at these league games that you have left, going to be on the road with Owego and Johnson City. What can you tell me about Owego Free Academy as you head into this game undefeated in league play and in non-league play, knowing that you have another league game coming up?
Well, they're obviously, Owego's are next. They're our most important, but the fact that it's a league game, we know we have to make sure that we play the best that we can. Since it's a league game, it's a game against a team that we've played over and over and over again. So we kind of already know what each other is going to do pretty much. So we have to make sure that we're super consistent with our execution, because if they know what we're doing, even if they do know what we're doing, if we execute, the job can still get done. And that's what we're looking to do. And then of course, every team you beat, that's one seed that you're going to get ahead of them, which leads to a home game, which is what we're looking for, to host all the way through our playoffs. That's our goal, to host through our section playoffs. And then if we are fortunate enough to get to the state playoffs, then we'll have to take care of business there when we get there.
And a final note, as we take a look at this Southern tier, and like I said, putting a spotlight on Maine-Endwell and on the Southern tier, as well as New York State in general. I have spoken with you about this before. I believe that obviously New York State, doesn't matter what the sport is. I don't think that there's enough of a spotlight. I don't think there's enough love. I don't think there's enough appreciation on Central and Upstate New York. I know what it's like to be a redheaded stepchild, so I take care of my redheaded stepchildren. And that on my show, it's been a torch-bearing thing that I'm happy to bear, which is to put emphasis on the Southern tier, put it on Central and Upstate New York and the state of New York in general. What would you like to say about New York talent and about the state of New York, and maybe some misconceptions, as I know that from being in the trenches with these gentlemen, that there's a lot of talent out there?
It is. It's unfortunate that we don't necessarily, when I say we, upstate New York in general, don't get the recognition that we think that we might deserve.
Yeah.
There's some great football. Yes, Long Island and even down in the city, and they get their big recruits, and they get those guys, and but there's some players up here. There are, and I think there's more than people think there are, because the ones that do go places and play, they do a pretty good job, in Division I and any level for that matter. But I just wish that a little bit more attention could be paid to the upstate New York area. And that's for the kids' sake, obviously. Hoping that that does spread a little bit. And then if it does, I know these guys will accept the challenge and go there and do whatever they can to prove everybody right,
Well,
or in some cases prove everybody wrong, I guess.
yeah. And that is an emphasis here, as I had stated, and your student athletes and all of Maine-Endwell, whatever the sport is, whatever's going on for all of the wonderful men and women in the community, however we can help, I'm always here to do that. And I thank you for the time that you've given me, as well as your student athletes, so that we can provide a platform, because it takes you saying yes on your side. So in closing, I want to say thank you for your work and your efforts, and to let you know, as you already do, I would hope that the door is wide open, swung open. I put the door stopper under it. I broke the spring so it can't close.
Well, I really appreciate that, Dan. Thanks for, giving me a chance to come on, and I love having, getting the chance to chat with you. It's really enjoyable. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the time that you give and everything that you do for our community. And I know if my grandpa Bill was here, I know he would have a big smile and nothing but kind things to say to you, and much appreciation. He was a soft-spoken man that probably put his hand out, shake your hand, pull you in, maybe make a joke, but would definitely appreciate your time. So I want to say thank you from him as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.